Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Kicking this around during the Sports Center there. First of all, if Jason Kidd, like you said, Jamie, if he wants to go to New York, then maybe they should work out a trade.
Yeah, get something for it, right?
Yeah, right.
Get some draft picks from the Knicks or whatever. I mean, I think that's the first question that has to be asked by the Mavs. I think you go to Jason Kidd, like, are you wanting to talk to this team? If he said, my plan and my hope is to stay here, but I'll listen to what they have to say, I think you can let them do that. And at the same time, if Jason Kidd decides, okay, yeah, I want to take that job, then you say, okay, well, let me see the Mavs at that point say, okay, well, let's see if we can fleece the Knicks. It's been done before.
Right, yeah. It doesn't seem like it's that hard,
let me get
right?
Isaiah Thomas on the phone.
Right.
Okay. And you see what you can get out of it. If ultimately they don't want to give up what you want, sorry, Jason Kidd. Sorry, Knicks. It's not going to happen.
We've got to. You're under contract.
Yeah. And you can explain that to Jason Kidd as best you can. Hey, we don't want to get rid of you, but if you don't want to be here, we don't want to keep you here. Mm-hmm. And we'll do our best to make this work for us. But if the Knicks aren't going to make it a good deal for us, then we're not going to just bow down and say, here you go, Knicks, you can keep him. I guess I'm a little bit surprised with what's the sudden desire for Jason Kidd. I know he took the Mavs to the finals a year ago, but right. I don't feel like he's the hottest name in coaching. I feel like it's odd to me.
It is. To me, that's odd as well. I mean, the whole thing is odd. And the other thing, too, is that, I mean, let's not be naive here either and go, well, he just, all of a sudden, the Knicks just thought, hey, we're looking in the Rolodex here. Go, Jason Kidd, that might be a good guy.
Oh, man, I remember him from Cal. He was a good player.
And he's a guy that, got a coach fired at Cal, and there's Texas Tech ties there too, because he went to Bob Backrath, the athletic director at Cal at the time, and got the coach fired, and then Bob Backrath shortly after that left Cal and came to Texas Tech as the athletics director. So I just feel like that Jason Kidd's people maybe called New York and said, a guy you might want to think about is Jason Kidd. He's not exactly thrilled to be in Dallas after the trading of Luka Doncic without his knowledge.
Which would be dumb because he's got, when healthy, a really good roster, and he's also about to get Cooper Flagg. Yeah. If that is what went down, then Jason Kidd and his people are really dumb.
But couldn't you see that scenario though?
I don't. Why would Jason Kidd want to leave?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he'd rather be in New York. Maybe he looks at that. Maybe he looks at that and goes, "That's the, if we win there, it's the holy grail. Look at what they did after just winning a playoff round."
Here?
Well, I mean, he got them to the finals.
That's not winning.
Well, I mean, it's winning more than what they've done in New York. I mean, the other thing that's kind of crazy is them trading them firing Tom Thibodeau, who had just had basically the most successful season in the last 25 years for the New York Knickerbockers.
And if you're Jason Kidd, how are you not noticing that?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I got to be honest with you. It's something that occurred during the NBA Finals the other day. I thought he had passed away, but apparently he clearly is not. But Don Nelson was presented as the Chuck Daly Lifetime Achievement Award for National Basketball Coaches Association. He was presented with that, and then they, honored him during Game 2. And one of the things that Don Nelson did is that he wore a pair of Luka Doncic's tennis shoes when he went on the court to be honored there in Oklahoma City. And basically it was his message of, hey, if you have one of the best players, you don't trade one of the best players.
Yeah, for a franchise that was so good to Don Nelson, I felt like it was a cheap shot.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bad look.
Yeah, him, his son, and everything else. But I think that's Don Nelson, though, too. He won a lot of games and he lost a lot of games in his coaching career. But I agree with you. It was a cheap shot. It's like, and it's one thing. Like,
I mean, that was the guy that wanted the Mavs to go all out to sign Wong Juju. Like, you didn't make any bad personnel moves in your day, Nelson?
No.
Yeah, you lost more games than anybody in the history of the sport.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah, come on, man.
He was right there with Lenny Wilkens. Lenny Wilkens at one point in time had won more games than anybody in the NBA, and he'd also lost more games than anybody in the NBA. Don Nelson was similar to that. And he was the winningest coach in the NBA for a long time, mainly because he just coached so damn long. So, at any rate, let's see. Worst movie in the history of the NBA. It was worst move. I think they meant worst move in the history of the NBA. It was a cheap shot to the fans. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't. We'll see how it turns out, right? We'll see how it turns out. Mm-hmm. But obviously the trading of Luka was one that the fan base for the Mavericks was not a fan of. So I'm sure a lot of Mavericks fans feel like it was a cheap shot to them too. So.
Yeah. Somebody wanted to know what Jason Kidd and Bob Baccarat and Texas Tech. Well, I just thought it was interesting. I just thought I'd bring that story back up again. So just thought it was.
It was a bit of a reach to say it had Texas Tech ties. Yeah, I feel like you were
a bit stretching there a little bit.
You were stretching.
Yeah. Okay. stretching just a skosh, but I mean it still is kind of crazy. I mean, because at the time when that happened, you hadn't really heard about publicly. I mean, not saying it never occurred, because obviously it did, but coaches berating players and then losing their jobs over that. You really hadn't heard of that at the college level. I mean, where a guy because of
was that why?
Yeah,
the complaint was that he was berating players.
Well, but it was player mistreatment, is what it was. Yeah. It was player mistreatment. I was looking for his Lou Campanelli. Yep, he was there from 85 to 93.
Who is Lou Campanelli?
He was the coach at Cal that Baccarat fired, and Jason Kidd played for him. Yeah. Back in the day. So, he was fired on February 8th, 1993. That's a long time ago, 32 years ago.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
The Morning Drive, time for this day in sports history. Today is Tuesday, June the 10th, 2025. Here's the birthday boy himself, Jeff McGuire.
Yep.
Happy birthday,
me.
Jeff.
Thank you. 1944, relief pitcher Joe Nuxhall, Nuxhall, at 15 years, 316 days, debuts for the Cincinnati Reds, becoming the youngest player in Major League Baseball history to be, and would later become an all-star and a broadcaster.
Yeah.
1967, American pole vaulter Bob Seagren sets a world record mark of 17 feet 7 inches in San Diego, California. This was a record that was, I want to say it was like 10 years ago that was finally broken.
Yeah, it was held for a long time.
Very long time. There was a high school meet at the old Bubble on the Tech campus, and the day it got broken, they just set up the pole vault to show how high the record was.
Wow.
For the new one, and you're just sitting there looking at it going, that's way up there.
Mm-hmm. He won gold at the 68 Olympics and silver at the 72 Olympics.
1979, Baltimore Orioles pulled their 8th triple play, a 5-4-3 variety versus Cleveland. It's hard to say a triple play is boring, but I would say that is the boring version of it.
Yeah, probably so. I would bet that's the one that, the version that is the most of all of them. Yeah.
1990, Detroit Pistons beat the Trailblazers for the first time since 1974 in Portland. 2016, former Red Raider A.J. Ramos gives up one walk, getting a strikeout in his 19th save of the year in the Marlins' 8-6 win over the Diamondbacks. And 2 years later, former Red Raider Josh Tomlin pitches a perfect ninth in relief while striking out 2 in a 9-2 Indians win over the Tigers.
Second greatest White House Wildcat ever.
What about Dylan Cantrell?
That's what he was talking about.
I think he's ahead of Cantrell.
Okay.
He had a good major league career.
Well, this is true.
Yeah.
It is National Iced Tea Day.
Okay, I'm a big fan. Unsweet tea.
If there were 7 of these, it would also be National Kentucky Fried Chicken Day because it's Herbs and Spices Day. With the 7 herbs and spices. Someone who is not celebrating a birthday today, but deserves a mention, Dub Malaise would have celebrated a birthday today.
Okay.
He passed away in 2021. Also, big happy birthday going out to Gary Ashby, turned 70 today.
No way.
Today, too, okay, for Gary Ashby. Okay.
As for me, I'm Tom Glavine years old.
47.
Okay.
What a young whippersnapper.
You are.
Kate Upton, 33. Elizabeth Hurley is 60. And Don Faust is 74.
You're in good company today.
I'm in excellent company if I was a female and good looking.
I was thinking about Dan Fouts and Gary Ashby in addition to the others.
Funny. I was thinking of Kate Upton and Elizabeth.
Yeah, right.
You said you'd be in excellent company
if I was female and good looking. Yes, because then I would be with Kate Upton and Elizabeth Hurley. Okay. I'd bring the average down a lot. On this day, 1967, the Six-Day War between Israel and the Arabian neighbors ends with the United Nations brokerage of ceasefire. The outnumbered Israeli defense forces achieved a swift victory in the brief war, rolling over the Arab coalition and more than doubling the amount of territory under the Israeli control. The greatest fruit of the victory lay in seizing the old city of Jerusalem from Jordan.
How long did it last?
6 days.
6 days.
And that is this day's sports history.
That means it's time for your lucky local winning word this morning.
It's not as funny as the 100-Year War, because it was like 114.
Or the War of 1812.
Well, that's the of 1812.
I know.
Go ahead, Chuck.
It's time for your lucky local winning word. It's brought to you by the Home Zone and Double T 97.3. You'll go to doubleTsportsnetwork.com. If you haven't gotten qualified, there's still time. Today is a winning Tuesday. Somebody's going to win $500, okay, like Jordan Weathers did last Thursday. All you have to do is go to doubleTsportsnetwork.com and enter this word, Raptors. Raptors, R-A-P-T-O-R-S, Raptors. Raptors. They did win an NBA championship.
They did.
You know, thanks to that crazy baseline shot by Kawhi Leonard that bounced around and topped up, and it looked like a little pinball at the circus. And that helped them win a ball game that helped them get to the finals and win a championship. Raptors is your lucky local winning word this morning. Go to doubleTsportsnetwork.com for that. From the Home Zone, making your house a home, and Double T 97.3. By the way, Bob Segrin's record, world record, was broken multiple times. In fact, he himself broke the world record 6 times, but his world record outdoors was broken in 2001 by Giovanni Lanaro. So you think about going over 17 feet on this day. What year was that he went over 17 feet?
That would have been 1967.
So from 1967, it took 34 years. Am I doing my math right there? Yeah. 1967 to 2001. That's crazy.
34, yep.
That's crazy when you think about it. And that we see that in track all the time, where this guy did the long jump, or she did the triple jump, or high jump, or something along those lines. And then it's it's incrementally up by centimeters and millimeters, as opposed to breaking it by a whole bunch, even with all the technology and weight training and dietary changes and all those kinds of things. It's crazy how that.
I mean, just think of all the technology changes in the pole itself from 67 until 2001, right? 2009, I'm sorry. And they still couldn't beat that record.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Makes me wonder if he had today's polls, what could he have done? Could he have cleared 18 feet?
Yeah, and here's the deal, and I was just looking at his Wikipedia. This is not walking around knowledge for me, but they changed the pole going into the 72 Olympics from a banana pole. You couldn't use it like had been used, and so Segrin had to use a pole that he was basically unfamiliar with, and still finished with the silver medal in the 72 Olympics.
Impressive.
Yeah, but they changed the rules on him, at the very end. So it's crazy when you think about that, and like Jeff said, the amount of time that went between those two distances. All right, we'll have Astro Baseball on the air for you tonight from the Icebox. They take on the Chicago White Sox. 6:40 the broadcast time. 7:10 first pitch from Houston. And then the Rangers and the Minnesota Twins tonight from Minneapolis, 6 o'clock and 6:30 or so. Balls and strikes for the Rangers, who are coming off of a series win over the Washington Nationals. They've been up and down. They've scored some runs and not. Scored some runs and none. And is this for Bob Segrin? Little Bob Seger? Yeah.
Well, you said Bob Seger first.
I did.
Have a record, so.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he does. He has several records.
Not the first stretch we've had today. It probably won't be the last.
Yeah. You get kind of tongue-tied.
He's got records, too.
Yeah,
they go round and
tongue-tied on that. Tongue-tied on that.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. It's great to have you with us today. Sometimes the business of sports is boring and disheartening, but I guess it's a necessary evil, right? Distasteful too.
I think that's to each their own choice of how much they want to focus on it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, between you and I, obviously you focus on it a lot more than I do. I'm more into the games, and
no, I'm just interested in it to a degree.
I am. It is the topic that needs to be discussed or whatever, and I am not interested.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
At all, because of the things that you just mentioned, that it's somewhat disheartening to me.
No, I get it. I understand.
I feel like the athletes absolutely 100% deserve to be compensated, and I feel like for so long the NCAA was so dumb about this, and because of that they were completely unproactive. What's the word? Lack of proactiveness, whatever. Just ran
defiant.
Just ran it into the ground, and it was so dumb. And then they got to the point where they're like, okay, fine, you want something, we'll just do whatever you want. And they created chaos, and that's where we're at now. It's out of control, and all the power and all the control is with the student athletes, because everybody is so afraid of litigation. I feel like at a certain point we went from we're not going to give you anything to we're afraid to tell you no with anything. And it's a collective group that have I don't know, just put college athletics in a real odd spot.
Yeah.
And I love watching games and enjoy watching games, and enjoy talking about and analyzing games. I don't enjoy this. It's boring. It's a beat down. It's disheartening. It's not fun.
I get it. I get it. It's just kind of where we are right now for the moment. You're sitting here going, I wonder where it's going to be. I wonder what this is going to be like. And I'm thinking to myself, what happens is going to happen. I don't know. I wonder if we'll beat Oregon State. That's what I wonder. Well, sure. I mean, I wonder that
if college
I wonder that too.
20 years from now is in the tank because of these decisions. They did it to themselves.
Well, I don't think it'll be in the tank. I think it'll be different. I also think that the schools have some culpability with this as well because they were in lockstep with the NCAA in the way that and then accepting the TV money, and then they got greedy. I mean, everybody got greedy to the point where the people that were providing the product were getting nothing, and
nothing really.
Well,
nothing?
I mean, they were getting. They were getting their tuition. They were getting their books. They were getting their college education paid for. I mean, so it's not.
Seems like
it's not nothing.
For most people, that would seem like something.
Yeah,
You put 2 girls through college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I bet that wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Did it give him the opportunity to succeed in life, Chuck?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that seems like a lot.
Sure.
That seems like nowhere close to nothing.
Sure. Well, and I say nothing, but I mean, but you're right. I mean, the problem became though was it was so.
Did they deserve more?
Did the players deserve more?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think
should they have been able to make chairs and sell them? Yes.
Yeah. Nick Shimonek. Yeah.
Should they have been able to sign autographs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And get paid for it.
Well, and
they could sign autographs. They just couldn't.
And here's the thing: is the schools knew it was wrong but
they didn't care.
Because for years and years and years, you couldn't sell a jersey with a player's number. I mean, you could sell like the year that you were doing, or you could sell the number 1 or something. There was some restrictive rules, that the merchandise shops had with regard, but you couldn't. And it became like, okay, we're just going to choke this thing to death, and then, like you said, it flipped. But the schools have responsibility too.
Isn't that been in recent years that you couldn't put up the numbers?
That was in recent years. Yeah, within the last 10 or so.
For a long time, the schools were selling. I mean, I got
selling
a
16, right.
I got a Crabtree and a Kingsbury and a Harrell. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, when I say that, I want to say that's been within the last 15 years or so.
Yes.
Yeah, within the last 15 years or so. And then you had, but I think the explosion of the TV money, is when, and then just the building up of your facilities and things like that, and everybody's looking around going, what? And the coaches' salaries and things like that, especially football and men's basketball, have exploded. To the point where the athletes kind of go, well, where's ours? Where's our take of this? And then, like you said, it just seemed like with very little resistance, that wall fell. There was like almost no resistance from the schools and the NCAA, and it created this massive amount of chaos that we have now, where you're going to go, okay, so you're paying your quarterback X, but now you only have $20.5 million. So how do you get that gap? Because there's going to be some people that are going to go, well, wait a minute, you paid me this last year, now you want me to take a big haircut this year? How's that?
That's not going to work.
How's that going to work? Yeah, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I will say this: it seems like, and I haven't researched the other schools in the Big 12. But it feels like that Texas Tech has at least positioned themselves and done a great job, actually, behind the scenes to prepare for this moment. That's the sense that I get. And I'm guessing other schools have put themselves in similar boats, but it feels like that Texas Tech has been a little ahead of the game as we've gone here over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I can believe that.
To put yourself in this, in this spot. So, yeah, I mean the the business side of this certainly stinks. It stinks out loud. You hate knowing what people are doing or making or getting. You'd almost prefer that you just don't even know. You'd almost rather have your head in the sand, so to speak, so that you can just go out and enjoy the games and stuff like that. But that's not the spot that we're in at this point in time.
I mean, I'll go back to something I've said a million times before. The passion for me is not gone because I know how much money they make. That's not it. The passion for me is slipping away because I don't like the passion before was about these people wanted to be Red Raiders just like I wanted to be Red Raiders. Mm-hmm. And now the feeling is these people are here to get paid. They're mercenaries. Okay? They've come from somewhere else where they were previously. They got paid here. Now we're going to offer them more, so they're coming here. That it's not the feeling that we used to have about, hey, these guys love Texas Tech, or they love the city, or they love what our fan base, the atmosphere that it provides, or whatever. It's just and I'm not blaming them for doing it. I mean, you take care of yourself, do what's best for you. I am not blaming. I'm not saying they're bad people. It's different when you feel like they're not really diehard Red Raiders. You know,
and
they're here to get paid.
And it's hard to paint everybody with that brush, though, too.
Sure.
I mean, there's going to be some people that are here because we have a good biology program. Mm-hmm. Or they came here and went, you know what, I came here as a high school kid and I really liked it, and I went to Sheboygan State, and Sheboygan State wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So, I mean, there's going to be some people that are just taking the money, and there's some people that are here for genuine reasons as well. Yeah,
and a lot of the superstars are here for the money.
It's fair to say that. I mean, given kind of where we are and the fact that we've had a pretty open checkbook, but you know, at the end of the day, it's just.
I'm glad they're helping us win.
Yep. And hopefully they'll learn to be what you want them to be and can acquire that.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, gentlemen. We are going to talk some more Texas Tech sports in today's question of the day. We're thinking happy thoughts today.
Okay, we're choosing joy.
We are choosing joy.
What about almond joy?
No,
I would choose that.
No.
If I chose an almond joy, it would bring me joy, and it would also bring me almond.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't care for the almonds. In fact, this morning when I went through the donut line, and I said to the gal, I wanted a dozen donuts. And I said, no nuts, please. And she said, what about coconuts? And I said, no coconuts either. I swear to God, she said that. She said, coconuts? I said, no coconuts either. Just donuts. Just dozen donuts. No nuts,
there's a
no
donut
coconuts.
in there. I saw the donuts, and there's one with nuts on it.
Is there? Okay. Well, I had specifically said no nuts, but
she knew it was coming to us.
I didn't
there's enough nuts
them.
in here.
I don't even. Right. She doesn't even know what I do. I mean, she's just taking the order. You know, they're at the drive-through at 5:30 in the morning. You know.
All right, Jamie. I'm sorry.
I mean, it feels like he should be an almond joy guy. I mean, whatever. What's their tagline, Jeff?
Almond joy's got nuts. Mounds don't.
No,
that was back in the day.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Feels like.
Should feel like a nut all the time. I feel like a nut all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Feels like it would fit. All right. So today's question of the day. I want you to tell me your favorite 3 Texas Tech games of the 2024-2025 academic school year.
Wow. My 3 favorite games. Okay. And these things get harder every day.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I feel like feel like they get harder every day. I will tell you, I think I'll start with the Lady Raiders because that's what I've got one in my head. I think the Arkansas game when we went to Arkansas and won there. It was a road game. Haven't won a ton of road games, over the last 12, 13 years. So, winning on the road is a lot of fun because everybody's happy and you're just, it's just you, I'd say, just you as a team, just you. So for me, that was one. In terms of football, the one that it's not Stephen F. Austin or Abilene Christian, I'll tell you that. I think it's either the Cincinnati game or the Arizona game, but I think the Cincinnati game because it was just such an exciting game, and you did a good job inside the 20 of stopping them and forcing them to kick field goals. So I'm going to say the Cincinnati game for football, and then for men's basketball.
I didn't say you had to pick different sports.
No, I know.
You could have picked 3 football games if you wanted.
Right, I understand that, but I was trying to just kind of look at it and go, well, what's one for each? Let's see. The Houston game
must have been a real favorite.
I think the double overtime win over Arizona State was a lot of fun. So I picked three wins there. So the double overtime game against Arizona State, the football game against Cincinnati, and the women's basketball game at Arkansas.
All right, Jeff.
Okay, very quickly. Number 1, Game 3 against Houston, 11-1 win, run rule victory to sweep your Big 12 series, and it was against Houston. I believe the phrase I'm looking for is "suck it." Looking at your basketball, my favorite win of the year, as good as the 71-57 win over TCU was at home. I really liked beating Oklahoma State in basketball. They've been a thorn in your side on the basketball program, where you've lost to some teams that you shouldn't have lost to, and beating Oklahoma State is always fun, which leads to my number 1 on the list, which would be West Virginia, and for football, beating them in the last game of the year. I felt like that was the first time this year your football team just absolutely put their foot down on somebody and pushed.
That was really concise. That was really good.
Okay. Interesting answers. I'm going to say number 3 on my list will be the win against Florida State to send the softball team to the College World Series. Mm-hmm. Number 2 on my list will be the amazing comeback late against Arkansas in the NCAA basketball tournament, winning in overtime over the Hogs. Mm-hmm. And I think number 1 on my list, I probably should change around my order, but number 1 on my list was the top 10 win in football against on the road against Iowa State.
Okay.
That would have been my 4th, the Iowa State football win. Mm-hmm. Because it was, you went up to Ames, you weren't expecting to win up there, and it really kind of started you down the path of correctness for what we want in our football program.
Yeah, you had just lost to both Baylor and TCU, so you really needed that one. I'm really surprised you guys didn't have the comeback win, the win to get us to the College World Series.
Well, I guess here's how I took the question. I mean, I probably misinterpreted it, but I just looked at it from the standpoint of games that I attended. That's kind of how I like to look at that. But that Arkansas win was, for the Lady Raiders on the road, that was, again, you don't win a lot of those. It's been hard to win on the road. Happy flight, makes it a lot more fun.
Somebody mentions the men's basketball game at Houston. That that
was a lot of fun.
Sure.
After JT got ejected, that was awesomeness.
Yeah. Somebody says this with regard to the gal at the donut shop. Chuck, she knows you. You have given her a card and a handshake. I don't think, not that gal. Not that one. There's one that when I go get donuts, who's...
The lady working the donut stand is probably not the kind of girl that Chuck gives business cards to. That's not really his people.
There is one that gives me always some donut holes is just a little something for me.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
This morning here on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. It's great to have you with us today on the Morning Drive. We come to you, Jamie, Jeff, and I, from the First United Bank studio here in downtown Lubbock, Texas, America. Okay. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet97.3.com for that, of the mobile app. The Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. Jeff said this in the Sports Center, but I'll repeat. We'll have the Astros and the Pale Hose tonight. He didn't say Pale Hose. He said White Sox. But we'll have the Pale Hose on tonight at 6:40. Broadcast time, 7:10. First pitch from Houston, Texas. And then tonight from the state of Minnesota, we'll have the Twins and the Rangers. That'll be at 6 on Double T 97.3. Balls and Strikes about 6:30 or so this evening. So look forward to that as well. Have you seen a baseball game in Minneapolis?
I never have. And I think Target Field looks really nice. I would love to see a game there.
Yeah. And, it's outdoors, which is interesting because previously they played indoors at the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. And now they've torn that thing down and replaced it with another dome. But they play the Vikings games there, and then that's where the Final Four was in 2019. Meanwhile, the Twins play outdoors. They're in Minnesota. I wonder if the Viking fans look at the Bills fans and go, yeah, you guys are doing it right because you're building an outdoor stadium with the elements and football and snow and cold, and now we're nice and comfy inside our dome. Or do the Bills fans look at the Viking fans and go, hey, you guys did it right. You were thinking there. I mean, it's all good to be hardcore and bundle up and battle the snow, but it'd be nice to go inside and be able to take my jacket off and just watch a ball game.
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah. My guess is the 50-plussers who can afford the suites and stuff like that look at that and go, yeah, man, sure would be nice not to have to bundle up in a parka and snow boots and gloves.
Was it the Triple H that had the snow on the roof that ripped through?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm sure the Viking fans are real upset that they can't watch football in their stadium because they're a hole ripped in the roof.
Well, it was just kind of one of those deals. I mean, it was once in a lifetime kind of deal there.
I mean, they get a lot of snow there.
Rays had a hole ripped in their roof too.
Yeah, it was by a hurricane. Yeah, and they were waiting. They were going to use that place as a place for people to get respite, but no, it became
different sort of respite.
Different sort of respite. Yeah. So anyway, I kind of wonder that aloud. So we'll see. Let's see how the Buffalo's place won't open for another year.
Correct.
So, but it sounds like they've got technology in there to help them with snow removal and stuff like that. So, to kind of, I think, help melt it and things like that. So that they won't have to get the inmates out of jail so much to go over there and shovel out the stands. Which the inmates probably like, I kind of like getting out, Even though it's cold, at least it gets me out from behind the 4 cinder block walls, Gives me
something else
to get a little exercise.
Too.
What's that? Don't do it?
Don't get arrested.
Don't
commit crimes.
Sure. That's the realistic approach to things. But, we can't really rely. Remember, 7 words to live by that a guy that I worked for. I mean, I don't think he was certified, but he was a lunatic. Okay. But he told me, I think in 1990 when he hired me, when I came to Lubbock, he said, write these words down and put them in your middle desk drawer. And I still have them. I don't have a middle desk drawer anymore. I just have a right-hand drawer. That's okay. He told me to write these words down. Don't depend upon anyone to be logical. He said, including me. He did say that. He said, including me.
Was he talking about this show specifically?
He was talking about that about anybody, okay? No, about anybody. And anybody, anything. Don't depend upon anyone to be logical. And in terms of somebody that doesn't fit those words, you're about the most logical person I think I've ever met.
Yeah, but sometimes I'm,
you have your moments.
Frustrated about certain things.
Sure,
and
you have
so
your,
I just,
you have your,
I don't make any sense. I'm just
you
bitter and angry and
you have your moments.
Emotional.
Are you going through a change, Jamie? No, I'm just.
No, you may not see it, but I may have a dumb opinion just because I'm bitter about something.
No, there's no opinions that are.
Like I could stop rooting for Hunter Dobbins because of his silly comments towards the Yankees or something. But I'm not going to do that because I like Hunter too much.
Yeah. Was that hard for you the other night when the Red Sox were taking on the Yankees?
No, I was rooting for the Yankees. Hunter, you can have all the success you want in the other game, but I'm rooting for the Yankees.
Okay. No love for him. All right. So again, we'll have baseball on the air for you tonight. Astros at 6:40 on 100.7 The Score, and the Rangers on Double T 97.3. All right. Speaking of the Rangers, I thought this was really interesting, and we can dive into it a little bit more. Jamie, this is a kind of a stunning stat. There are 4 teenagers in Major League Baseball that are playing at the AA level. 4. That seems like a really low number. And one of them is a farm hand for the Texas Rangers. Okay?
Okay.
It seems like, when with as much as the, back in the day where you would bring in guys from Caracas or, Mexico or Cuba or, just in these United States, that it seemed like more teenagers were signing and foregoing college. But I think that trend has flipped. We'll talk about him a little bit. His name is Sebastian Walcott, and he is a shortstop. And he plays for the Rangers AA team in Frisco. Oh, I thought that was interesting. So
this has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.